Hello, hello, hello. This is Tando from Cosmic Spark, and I'm back again with another video. This was supposed to be a winter solstice message. The winter solstice has just passed, but it's within 24 hours. That surely counts, right? We are going to be doing this episode. I don't know why I love calling YouTube episodes. We're going to be doing this video a little bit differently to how I normally do them. That was irritating me. Yes, today we're going to be doing a bit of a chat. I've got some notes, and at the end of the chat, I can pull some cards. But the point of this chat is more just you getting to know me getting to help you without necessarily reading some cards. I don't need cards for my gift to give you something. And outside of my psychic gift, I actually have a lot of knowledge about a lot of topics that might assist you, and they all kind of interweave with spirituality. So, I've got my chai here in my mushroom mug because I am a mushroom fiend and I'm very fey coded. Lucy, please get off the table. Jesus Christ. Okay, got my chai here. Today we're gonna be having lemongrass incense. Lemongrass is one of my favorite scents ever. I also love having it in teas. And the best part was when I found out that it is also cleansing. Yes, you do not have to use Palo Santo, nor do you have to use sage if it's not within your... Please. If it's not within your culture, and also just for preservation. I think it's important for people of all cultures to be conscious of where in nature we are starting to deplete the planet because of greed, or because we don't understand that there are many ways to skin a cat. You do not have to do things complicated. You do not have to do things on trend for it to be worthwhile, okay? So, if you, like me, love lemongrass and you are looking for something new to cleanse with, then go forth. I'm going to do a little cleanse to you guys, okay? Close your eyes. Done. I hope you feel better. Alrighty. We've got my little incense station here. It's a little frog. My little froggy. Maybe. Just so you can watch the smoke patterns, you might want to read them while we talk. Okay, so first things I want to touch on, how to engage with spiritual content online. So you've been on YouTube, on the TikToks, on the Instagrams, you have favorite readers and you watch them, and sometimes they're saying things that make sense. They're saying things that mirror your present reality. Other times they're saying things that mirror past experiences, or you might lovingly watch a reading for fun, and then now it has revealed or unveiled a certain aspect of your trauma because the psychic happened to say the right thing at the right time. It is okay that sometimes you want to retreat from engaging with spiritual information online. It's not something that you can do all the time. I don't even engage with spiritual content all the time. It depends on what phase I am going through in my life. So, in the event you're watching a tarot reading, you know, you're watching some sort of forecast, weekly forecast. It could be to do with numerology, it could be to do with whatever placement, whatever it is. For those that enjoy journaling or writing, or even those that are open to it, you've never really done it, but you're not against it, I recommend keeping a journal that you use as a spiritual journal. Now, if you want to get super minute, you know, I am a Virgo Mercury. Sometimes I can get very down to the details. So I tend to have like different journals that are super specific. Like this is just my dream journal. This is just my like everyday thought journal, but this is like my morning pages journal. And then this is like, I can be very weird like that. You do not have to be crazy, but have a journal that you utilize as your spiritual journal. And in this journal, this is the place that you can write down tarot meanings, right? You might not be interested in becoming a tarot reader professionally or anything of the sort, but you might be interested. There might be cards that are your favorite. You don't have to understand why. You don't have to know why you're drawn to things all the time. Most of the time it reveals itself with time. You just need to be a little bit patient. And so you've always loved the Empress, and it's come up a few times when you've been watching content online. So you write down the Empress and you write down what it means. And then, you know, as it kind of shows up in your life, how does the traditional meaning show up with how you're experiencing it? And have you discovered any nuance? Because the fun part about watching different spiritualists talk about the same spiritual context is giving you different verbiage, or giving you different perspectives so that you can pick something that matches you in frequency. The reason why some readers work for you sometimes but not others, or you might like watch a reader online for like a year straight and everything hits, but all of a sudden it stops hitting. It's all about vibration. When you are interacting with people online, it is no different to interacting with them in person. You have to watch and wait. You have to listen to your body and feel how it feels in your body when you listen to someone. There's a difference between, so if I'm watching a spiritualist online, if I'm even like, sometimes I just start watching and I'm like, there's something about you that's off. I don't like how you said that. If I'm critiquing it from that perspective, we're not aligned in frequency, or I probably believe this person's a charlatan and maybe I haven't even admitted it to myself, but it's like the initial instinct was picking it up before I could formulate the words to describe the experience, because the body knows a lot. The body is intelligent in the same way, if not even more than the mind that we pedestalize all the time, okay? The body is the one that has that initial gut instinct that you choose whether or not to override before you eventually realize you didn't like that person, and that's what that feeling was. Your body is so quick, it doesn't need time to process. It doesn't need time to think and compare. It does it sort of like in real time. When you engage with spiritual content online, utilize that as training for your intuition. Okay? When you pick a random video, how good was that selection? And if you pick it and you start watching and you're immediately like, nope, go to the next one. That is how you're practicing. You're practicing being in touch with your intuition. Then there's a different kind of resistance. The first resistance I mentioned is like, there's something off about this messaging, right? That's typically, there's some sort of truth in that. You don't have to get it, move on. Then there's resistance that comes from knowing that the person's right, but you weren't ready to hear it. That's different. That's the stuff that you need to put in your spiritual journal, because whether or not you're ready to understand or delve into the depths of why this gets to you so much, it's important that you note it. I mean, already, the fact that you've heard it, you can't unhear it. Now the seed has been planted in your mind. But if you are someone who wants to do shadow work or you struggle, especially you Taurians, I'm watching you because I know you guys will do self work only to a certain level, because after that level, it becomes uncomfortable and you will literally refuse to step over that hurdle to get to self actualization. I don't mean to call you out, but you guys can be very soft with yourselves, which works when it's time to be soft and be in that energy. But it doesn't work if you're trying to up level and if you're trying to stop yourself from repeating cycles. Unfortunately, that kind of comes with a bit of grit. You have to be able to do the uncomfortable thing. So, learning to note down things that you are uncomfortable with in your spiritual journal so you can further explore that. If you want to know how to explore anything that you watch and then you're like, but what do I do now? Do the classic who, what, where, why. Just start talking. There are so many times I just start journaling and I don't have an end goal. I don't have something I need, like, I have an exact thing I need to get out of it. I just know that it will help me, so I just start talking. I just start writing, and whatever is supposed to come out will come out, right? Okay. Not all spiritual binging is unhealthy. I know that's going to sound really weird, but there are times during spiritual awakenings or during moments in time where I was really in flow, really in my intuition bag, really. And in those times, I know because one, I'm engaging with spiritual content, but two, I am very self focused in those times where I'm in my spiritual bag. I am not hanging out with many people. I am minding my own business. I am chasing my goals. There's one particular time I always like to mention on my blog, confessionsofa libra.com, which is there was a September's my birthday month because I'm a Libra. There was a September like a few years ago where I was like going to school. I had to take leave off work to do 2 weeks of placement for my dermal therapies. During that time, I was doing a 60-day yoga challenge in the mornings, if most of the time in the mornings, but I was journaling a lot during that time, and I was binging spiritual content, especially tarot content. Now, during that time, the most of the videos that I clicked, whether they were just like I got onto YouTube, I didn't know what I wanted to watch, and then in my recommended, there were certain titles that just pulled me, or certain imagery that, pulled me. I would be, say, doing the dishes, listening to this reading, and being like, oh my God, I think that kind of explains that one time my ex had this weird face when I said this. That's what it's like sometimes when you're listening to readings. You are connecting dots. You are weaving a world within your mind, within your conscious and your subconscious. And what it does is it is creating a lattice, but that lattice is tight and it's sturdy and it serves your future version of self. So you'll know if the binge is not necessary because firstly you're not finding the right messaging. You're having to look, you're having to be like, oh no, oh no, oh no, until you find the message for you. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Okay. And you'll know because when you're receiving this information, you are present. You do something with it. You ponder it. You think about it. You talk about it. You meditate over it. Like, this is all really, really important stuff. So sometimes when you're binging, it's because you are in a place of being able to receive. The universe knew that it was time, and so now it's like, let's bombard you with this information. Okay. Sometimes also Note, you are integrating the information you are watching, whether you know that you're doing it or not. Not all the work that we're doing is conscious to us. Sometimes readers reveal things. Our ancestors are like, yep, that's what we wanted you to know. You go to sleep. You have a whole dream procession. You have a whole conversation with your spiritual team in your dreams. Or you speak to yourself in your dreams and you give yourself a pep talk. Next minute, you know, give it a few weeks and now you feel like a different person. A certain aspect of your life has completely changed in how you process it. That's perfectly normal, okay? In general, if you're in the early days of your spiritual journey, 1717 on the clock, I recommend that you just get in the habit of journaling. Any weird spiritual experiences you're having, any thoughts, any things that you want to further look up that you hear about. You hear someone talking about numerology. Don't just sit on it if it sounds interesting. Go and read up on it. All of this information is connected, whether you choose to find yourself, find divinity through learning psychology or through learning numerology. It doesn't really matter if it brings you closer to yourself, if it brings you closer to wholeness, if it brings you peace, if it brings you joy, if it brings you direction, and it feels like you know where you're going. That's all that you need, right? Also, along with the journaling, going for walks, praying, setting intentions for signs that you want to see, for dreams that you want to have, for the fact that you're struggling with something, you're confused about the information you have been receiving, you still need help decoding what it means for you. You set intentions, you speak out loud, you pray, you ask yourself, your higher self, out loud or in your head to help reveal the answers that you seek. And you continue doing it, but you're also patient and you let it come to you when it's time. All right. Okay. Number 2, what are my spiritual favorites at the present moment? My spiritual favorites. Okay, so I love speaking to my ancestors and to spirit in the shower. That's kind of a constant for me. That's not a new thing, but I think I'm in a really, really good spiritual spot right now. And everything that I'm doing spiritually is honestly so hot. Like I'm finding joy and eroticism in everyday things, including communing with spirit. Because where me and spirit are concerned, there is no separation between eroticism and spirituality, and anyone who says otherwise is inventing something that doesn't exist. It's the reality that they prefer, but it's not really the reality that exists. Otherwise, if there wasn't a direct correlation, I don't think many religions would have so many rules about how one should conduct themselves sexually, you know, from way before the bedroom to within the bedroom to after the bedroom. Do you know what I mean? So yes, I love talking to spirit, and I have a super large spiritual team, but I am a Bebe on my mum's side. That's my last name. And my Bebe ancestors are water spirits. And so anything to do with water helps me commune with them. One thing that I've been doing is singing, because when you sing and dance, that's a way to connect with spirit and connect with your inner child. And apparently, scientists have discovered recently that dancing, I think, is one of the most effective therapies for depression, which makes sense because a lot of Black and Indigenous cultures have been doing it for ages. And I've had a knee injury, and the fact that I couldn't dance or that my dancing is restricted has actually been a really, really big like hindrance on my mental health. Like I'm really annoyed about that. That really affected me mentally, right? So singing with or into my water bottle, because I'm infusing that water with intention, with energy. I'm coding that water. Sometimes I'll just speak to the water and speak my intentions into it. So I am beautiful. I am intelligent. I am blessed. I'm a lucky girl. That kind of thing. Because water holds frequency, water holds vibrations. This is something that is well known. And so, getting into the habit when you make your morning tea, your morning coffee, speaking intentions into it, stirring it with intention, clockwise for anything that you want to bring in, anti clockwise for anything that you want to cleanse. Such a simple, magical act to do in the mornings or any other time of day. I'm obsessed with mornings. Okay, yes. Um, for those that already have an established relationship with your ancestors, or you divine on a regular basis, I think it's really, really good for you to revisit old memories through the eyes of spirit. That's kind of something that I've been doing really recently, and it's been really, really eye-opening to understand how things were holistically for me, not just like my little, you know, childhood experience, but how was it kind of all happening on a larger stage. And that's been giving me a lot of joy. So, yeah, if you're someone who feels like you have the ability to do that and you just haven't been doing it, you just never thought you could do it, do that, because I have found it so healing for my inner child, for my self concept. It has validated my understanding of my childhood in retrospect. And channeling through music, that's something I do all the time as well, but it's something I've been enjoying lately. That means I put music on and I dance to music in a way where it's like, this could be really 12th house of me, so if you don't get it, I'm sorry. But so I've been writing a lot because that's the ministry these days. That's what we're doing with spirit. I'll put on a song to write, and sometimes before I write, I'll just be dancing, or while I'm writing, I might write and then dance or whatever. The way that I allow the music to move within me is instinctual. I'm not always thinking about what I should do. I move based on how the music makes me want to move. I tend to enjoy sensual music, so that involves a lot of body rolls when I'm sitting down, you know, and or like anything where I'm like swaying my neck to the beat of the music. So it's very fluid. I try and like, you know how like in music there might be staccato, right? So like say this is like a real sensual song, so I'm just kind of like moving fluidly because the music is fluid. And then it comes to staccato and say it's like three, right? So it goes one, two, three. I move my body in ways that kind of like sync with the tempo and the feel of the music. And in that, it brings me joy. And secondly, sometimes I use the music to amplify the energy that I'm trying to write. If I'm trying to write a sex scene, I'll listen to a really erotic song, and as I'm dancing, I'm feeling the story, I'm feeling the music, I'm moving it through my body, and in that, I can channel. So sometimes I'll be writing, and I'll be, it's gonna be funny, I'll be imagining, right? Like, just go with it. Like a dominatrix, right? Grabbing someone by the hair and like pulling their head back like that and like holding them by the hair. Then I imagine, right, I'm in the seat and it's a dominatrix doing it to me. I'm just writing two characters. And then I'm like, okay, so if someone grabbed me by the hair and they were that sexy, how would the sensation feel from my hand? What would it feel like in my chest? What do I think would light up in my body? And I think I use the idea of the scene and the music and I conjure the feeling in my body. I bring it to the forefront. And so all of a sudden, my body lights up in very specific ways, which I envision is what I would feel in that moment. It's so funny. Like, I'm surely people will get this. And then when I write, all I'm doing is translating that feeling, right? So if you've ever read any of my blog posts on my Libra blog, I describe things like very minutely. I'll describe the fact that, like, the pressure of the hair being tugged is like perfect, but I still had goosebumps from the sensation. And then looking up at this dominatrix, my heart fills up with warmth, and my heart starts beating fast, and then my tummy does this little jump, this little like, what's going on? This is hot. Little butterflies, little flips, little whatever. So I use music in that way. If I'm feeling joyous, no, if I'm feeling like a bad bitch, I have a bad bitch playlist, right? I'll put on one of those songs. It doesn't have to be the whole thing. Sometimes I just like loop one song on repeat because it's the exact feeling I'm looking for. I'm not looking to be distracted by things within the genre that kind of roughly encompass the feeling. If I'm chasing a feeling, I will pick the exact song with the exact feeling and loop it so that I got it. So yes, that's that. That's how I channel through music. So yeah, happy, sad. If I'm melancholic, I put on sad music so I cry. If I'm writing a sad scene, I put on sad music so that I can experience that feeling of deep sad. It's why when I was a little teenager, I was writing then too, but sometimes I'd be plotting the story before I'm going to bed, right? Like that was my little thing. And I'm plotting the story before bed in the dark. It's like the AMs. And this whole story is playing out in my mind like a movie. Next minute, I'm crying, like literal tears, because wow, we just got to a sad bit, and that was really sad. Even though I made it up, it was really sad. Like I feel like I was there. You're getting to know me now, aren't you? Anyway, it's really cold. That's why I've got hoodie on. I wanted to like give you my Venusian siren vibes that I have over on my personal TikTok because I read out one of my sensual, sexy blog posts. But it's too cold for that at this time of day, so you get what you get. And you're gonna be grateful for it, okay? Okay. Okay, we're over halfway through. And it's 30 minutes. Ah! Okay. Might cut it down, so it might not be 30 minutes, but manifestations. Okay. This one just came up for me today, and I felt like I wanted to talk about it because I hear in the spiritual community all the time people saying things like, you want to move in silence, right? And I was watching this lady on TikTok. If I can find her handle, I will put her handle down here. She was talking about how this is actually proved in physics, that when you have an idea, I'm paraphrasing and this is what I remember, so please, excuse me, go watch her video. When you have an idea to yourself, it's just sort of like within your mind, you have access to like limitless potential, right? You could do anything. You could do anything because you decided to and you put your mind to it and you thought it was a possibility and you can bring it into fruition. Now, people typically say you don't want to tell people when you're working on things because you don't want them to disrupt you, and that is true. They can do this physically and they can do this energetically, okay? Now, I wanted to expand on this conversation in a way that I haven't seen be expanded previously. It's not so much that you want to be this immensely secretive person, because if you're anything like me, like I love being an open book. I detest the fact, I feel like a lot of the reasons why people in society lie and cheat and all of this sort of stuff is because of a lack of honesty, and that comes from us feeling the need to hide all these aspects of ourselves to rightly um, defend ourselves preemptively from judgment, right? Because especially when it comes to religion, religion does not teach you to be non-judgmental, no matter what you think. It teaches you to judge anyone who's not within your religion, right? You do want to be conscious of who you tell. What you want to learn is discernment. What you need to learn is who you should speak to about what and why. Let me give you an example. Growing up in my little family, it's my mother and my brother, I learned that the way that they experience the world is very specific and a little bit more rigid than me. Likely because of my placements. I've got heaps and heaps of cardinal energy. I've got some mutable energy as well. So I am a lot more fluid and expansive, okay? I feel like you can try things and you can fail them and then you can move on and you can do this, that, and the third. Whereas their programming, and it's nothing to do, it's like, it's not a problem. It's just a problem for me, right? So growing up, if I said something I wanted to do, everyone would be very upfront about their opinions. I come from a family of people that are super blunt. My parent is a Taurus. My sibling is an Aquarius. That tells you everything that you need to know about the level of bluntness in this family. But what they inadvertently taught me, especially because I am a sensitive person, so having you poo-poo my ideas, that when I have an idea, I don't just tell someone generally. Like I tend to hyperfixate. Like if you're a neurodivergent girly, you get it. I will research something up and down. So yes, it felt like I would bring something and it would be poo-pooed. And it's like, well, now you've kind of taken the wind from my sails. I was operating on this frequency and maybe even this speed and this vigor, but now your words have deflated me. So discernment meant I just learnt what things I was okay to tell them because I was okay with their feedback, and what things I would tell them after enacting. The way I distinguish who should know what when is when I have the idea, I want to first research it and feel good about it. Then I might tell people, but I will never ever start telling people unless I've decided, like this is what I do now after years and years and years of honing this. I will only ever tell you anything that I feel like I've worked through, just in general. If you ever hear me talk about my trauma online, it's because it's not a big deal anymore. Like it's worked through. This is just educational at that point, right? With my manifestations, I'm telling you because I've decided to do it. Whether or not you think I'm going to do it is none of my business. When I started Cosmic Spark, I told the bare minimum of people. But I did tell people within a few videos and after making my website, because I had already decided it was happening. Even though maybe I didn't have the subscribers to prove that this was going to sustain itself. There was no proof that I was going to actually do this long term, longer than a week, longer than a day, longer than a few hours. It didn't matter to me that I was telling people and they were looking at me like, oh, she's doing a hobby. Look at her. It doesn't matter because I know myself. I don't need to have you. I don't need to prove myself. If I'm that's just my life. Now you know. So it might also come with a certain level of self-confidence too. But the reason that I think it works and why I don't think you should just be like this silent sniper is because I know that it accelerates my manifestations to me. Once I start telling people, I find it's like the path gets clearer. It's like I was walking on like a dirt road or like a, dirt path, but there was like weeds and bits of rubbish, and it was like, is that still the path? And the moment I start broadcasting it, I'm accepting that this is my new reality. I don't know about you. Okay. So I started telling people that I was a dermal therapist, or I was about to be a dermal therapist, even though it took me like 3 years to graduate because I did it part time and on and off. And all that time, people kind of thought that I was just full of it because so many people start things and don't finish them. It's not, I don't even think it was like personal. I think so many people can relate to that. Starting something with all the right intentions and not having the will to carry it through. I went around proudly proclaiming, yep, this is my new pathway. I'm going to be a dermal therapist. What I'm going to do, I'm going to open this, I'm going to do that, da 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 da. And I graduated. It might not have been in the time I would have preferred. It certainly wasn't in the time that anyone around me preferred, because they were just like, okay, I don't know. Maybe she doesn't give a fuck about her life. But I got there. Same thing. I already knew that I was a psychic, but it was, might surprise you to think, but it was something different to proclaim it from a place of like, this is my vocation. At some point I had to shift from like, this is just like my little hobby and a thing that I have in the background of my life, to starting to proclaim it up front. And as such, in the trajectory of my life, when I got to the day job that I have at the present moment, prior to this job, people I worked with knew that I liked astrology, knew that I was like a spiritual girl, but they didn't really engage with that side of me. And so we spoke about anything else. If you've met me in the last year, I am now kind of living holistically who I've been this whole time without hiding certain aspects of myself to please other people because they just don't understand multidimensionality. So I started proclaiming myself as a psychic. In my early 20s, I started telling people I was a writer because I had started writing as a teenager. I hadn't published anything. When I was a teenager, my dream was to publish by 19. Didn't do that. But it was because I told myself that I already know I like it. I already know I have a talent deep down inside. What if it would help me feel like I'm a writer if I stopped treating it like my dirty little secret? I start saying it, and now, like, it's been years, people been knowing that I'm a writer. But also, in many of those years, I had writer's block too. I would write like teeny tiny amounts because largely it felt like I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I'm like, I know I have the talent. Why do I not have the will to sit down and write shit? And you know what happened? Universe conspired. My leg broke. I was at home all the time. Spiritual awakening. Spirit said, the channel's open. You can write now. Go forth. And I've been writing ever since. I haven't stopped. And it feels like finally I've arrived somewhere I always knew I was supposed to be. It just feels like now I'm more me than I've ever been. I was always supposed to be this girly. I was just making my way there. So learn discernment. Learn who are the right people to tell things to. No matter how much you love them. If you have a best friend that you love, but you know that she has slightly jealous tendencies, then, act accordingly. Don't act like you don't know this information, My strategy is with people that were like my family. I would only tell them once something was enacted. So, like, while I would tell my best friend, I am going to get a blog and make a website, I told her that early on because she's a high trust person. I would have told my family once my YouTube channel was up, once my, blog was already up and running, because if they said anything, it's too late now. Those are your concerns, but it's too late now. You know what I mean? And I've learned that when I was younger and fighting myself by doing things that made other people happy, I stopped myself from instinct so many times. I knew I wanted to study something in the beauty industry at 18, but my mother didn't see the value in it, so I didn't do it. I still ended up studying dermal therapies just later on in my 20s. So a part of me wants to be annoyed. I could have just been 18, done what I wanted to do. But at the same time, I couldn't, because if I lived with my mum, I had to do things within her rules. If you know anything about African households, it just works a little bit differently, okay? And so it doesn't make her a bad person. She did what she could with the information that she had on hand. But when you learn to listen to your own intuition about what you want to do, despite what other people will think, you'll make yourself happy. And isn't that the goal? Don't you want to make yourself happy, first and foremost? Okay. So, it's not silence, it's learning discernment. Speak to amplify your desires and increase the signal to the universe that you are ready. You know, when you're just like manifesting from up here, you're just like, hey guys, this is what I want. When you start manifesting from out here, you're saying, this is who I am. This is who I am, and I'm just waiting for the world to catch up. That's the kind of energy I want you to be in. Okay? Let's do a singular, pick a card, a singular card to end this little video. I'm really glad that I finally did it. I felt so bad, guys. I felt so bad because I used to post more often, but writing is what needs me right now. So if you miss me, come. I'm still writing about spiritual stuff. I'm just not posting as often, but I'll never abandon you. I'll always be back, okay? Just gonna cleanse these cards. I've already cleansed them with the 3 knocks. That's what those knocks are for. But, you know, it can never hurt to double up your cleansing. Okay. I do it out of habit now too. Angels, ancestors, spirit, what card would you like to leave my collective on today? Just to wrap up this message. They were quick. Okay. This one is called The Mind. Give to the mind and it gives back. Okay. Inspiration, mood, cycle. What I'm getting is, give to your mind by nursing it. Give to your mind by engaging in new information, okay? When you learn something that is exciting to you, don't leave it there. Do some extra research, get all up in its grill, sink your teeth into it, okay? You need to like live life to the fullest. And so many people are engaging with their intellectualism for the purposes of some sort of achievement, for the purposes of an undergraduate degree, for the purposes of impressing your boss, for the purposes of networking. Where are you, and out of all of those, are any of you engaging in your mental stimulation for fun? And I'm not talking just like TikTok scrolling. I'm talking borrowing a book, buying a book, spending time researching a topic that you never even thought about until 2 seconds ago. But now you have to understand everything that it is. Okay, that's fun. That's so exciting. And like, nurse your mind by journaling. When you're journaling, like, I love to look at it as like someone like pulling threads of your your thoughts and information from your mind. So when you're journaling, you're like slowly pulling bits and pieces of ideas and you're examining them. You're looking at them. You're like, oh my God, what if I looked at it from below? What if I looked at it from above? What if I shone a light through it? What would it look like? You know what I mean? So I think that perfectly kind of encapsulates everything that we've talked about today. Feeding your mind and nursing your mind is a spiritual act, as is nursing your body. I hope that you've enjoyed our little chat today. I didn't have my microphone because I lost a thing with it. I keep doing it. I keep coming here and saying, I want to have a microphone. I don't have a microphone. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, happy winter solstice, everybody. Summer solstice to the northern hemisphere peoples. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.